Greetings, my dearest friends. I welcome you to our reflection on this fourth Sunday of Easter, year B. And our reflection will be based on the Gospel reading of today, taken from the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 10, verse 11 to 18. This is the message of Jesus, the proclamation of Jesus about himself, the one of the ego eimi, one of the I am of Jesus. And here, the I am which Jesus is proclaiming to us today, what he is to us is the Good Shepherd. And then the emphasis of Jesus about himself as the shepherd and then his sheep lies in the voice. Dearest friends, we know right from the beginning, God made us to be sheep. It is the nature of man to be follow. And right from the Genesis, the problem of man has been to which voice do you listen, or which voice are you following? The fall of man was because man stopped listening to the voice of God, or stopped following the voice, the instruction that lies in the voice of God, and started hearing the voice of the serpent. And throughout the story of the Israelites, their movement with God, there was always that tension of, will Israel abandon the God who is leading them, the voice of God, and begin to listen to the voice of other gods, the gods of other nations around them? And Jesus is posing the same question to us. I am the good shepherd, but if you do not know my voice, want to know his voice, and if you know my voice but you do not follow, you are not my sheep. In that same Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 26, in fact from 22 to 30, the Jews were asking Jesus, tell us who you are. Jesus told them, look, it's difficult for you to accept who I am because you are not one of my sheep. You do not yet belong to my sheep. So you'll find it difficult, because if you are my sheep, if you belong to my sheep, then you will know, you will hear, and you will understand my voice. I want to share my story, or a story, what I experienced. I was in this family, a father and a mother, having two kids. One was 4 years, the other one was a year and about 3 months. The father was not always at home because he was going for outside work, but from time to time he used to visit his family. One day the father was home and he decided to play a game with his wife and his two kids, to know the youngest who was growing up. The one of 4 years already knew, this one is my father and this one is my mother, and he knew their voices. But the younger one, so the father was standing just at the end of the parlor, the sitting room. Then the mother entered one of the smallest room that leads into the parlor. But it was dark. And then the little child was sitting, but he was beginning to walk. He was still learning how to walk. And then the father was calling the child, come to me. Come to me. Stand. Come to me. Come. The mother was in the room, hidden. There was no light. And he was calling the child, stand, come. Stand, come. The child got up, started walking. Do you know to whom? To the voice of the mother. Though hidden, the father was just there looking at him and calling him, stand, come to daddy, come to daddy. The boy will walk, turn, look at the father, and continue moving to the voice of the mother. That is the voice he had known. That is the voice that even when he is sleeping and he hears, it calms his nerves. Even when he's crying and he hears, who is what is happening to that baby? And he understands that's the voice of the mother. He becomes calm. Stanley knew the voice of the mother. And even seeing the father calling him, he was following the voice he has become used to. The voice that he knew that with this person, when I am under this person, I have nothing to fear and I have no hunger to fear. That is what happens to me, and that is what God wants us to be. The second reading tells us we are God's children. And as God's children, God knows each and every one of us one by one. He calls us by our names, and He wants us to know Him to the extent that we will hear His voice in the midst of many voices in the world. Are we always able to discern the voice of God, even when He is hiding, even when He is calling us from difficulty, even when that voice is coming from an unfriendly situation, and another voice is in roses, in light, in glory, in the beauty of the world calling us, like Stanley did. Do we have that courage? Do we have that conviction that even this voice of God I'm hearing is calling me from an unfriendly situation? But I know that once the voice I'm hearing is the voice of God and God is there, I have nothing to fear. The Sunday of Good Shepherd calls us to ask ourselves, do I know the voice of God? Can I differentiate between the voice of God and what seems to be the voice of God? What motivates my response to God's voice? Will I be able to stand and move with Him? The song, He leadeth me, by His hand He leadeth me. Do I follow Him?
With heavenly comfort fraught, whate'er I do, where'er I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. Sometimes mid-seams of deepest gloom, sometimes where Eden's bowers bloom, by water still, over troubled sea, still 'tis His hand that leadeth me. He leadeth me, He leadeth me, by His own hand He leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by His hand He leadeth me. Lord, I will clasp Thy hand in mine, nor ever murmur, nor repine, content whatever light I see, since 'tis Thy